All right, welcome to this explainer. Today we're doing something a bit different and, honestly, a lot darker. We're diving headfirst into a visceral, grimdark fable to decode the terminal rot hidden just beneath our comfortable modern delusions. We're going to explore a philosophical text known as the Diatribe of Seven Dead Ends. It's this haunting, mythic narrative that serves as a painfully accurate mirror for our modern psychological crises.
Let's kick things off with this incredibly jarring opening line from the narrator of our text, the truth-telling monster. This is a being made of gold leaf and emerald moss, an entity who literally ate the spirit of gravity and found it completely flavorless. Right out of the gate, this narrator challenges our deep-seated desire for safe, Socratic optimism. Instead of letting us hide in our fragile porcelain towers, clutching old maps like paper could somehow stop the winter, the monster drags us straight to the edge of the Obsidian Sea. It's basically demanding that we face reality without any of our comforting delusions.
So what's the core issue we're dealing with here? It's the philosophical danger of passive nihilism. Think of it as a state where we willingly trade the messy, unpredictable vitality of life for a sterile, silent zero. We're choosing absolute safety and mechanical stillness over the terrifying freedom of creating ourselves. But the fable uses this really powerful imagery to warn us that seeking the peace of a cemetery, this stone-like survival, isn't actually surviving at all.
Let's move into our first section, Anatomy of Career Burnout. What's absolutely wild here is how we can map these 7 mythological dead ends directly onto the very real symptoms of our modern burnout. Just look at how perfectly they align. You have the captain bathing in a saline ichor of pure malice, which perfectly represents the destructive hubris of corporate power. Then there's the crow, sitting high in the glass library, gathering our cynical knowledge like black brain until he strikes the violet gavel to crush our internal gods, a brilliant metaphor for toxic office cynicism. You also have the sovereign of Gast, embodying total calcified detachment, and my personal favorite, the jester of sapphire light. This entity views human existence as just a thermodynamic inefficiency and reduces our destinies to gems for his void ledger. It's literally the ultimate mythological representation of KPI obsession.
Let's zoom in on the Pale Inquisitor for a second. This entity drifts endlessly over an iron bridge that goes nowhere. He's obsessed with purification through subtraction, basically trying to edit your soul down to a single blank page. It's a really dark reminder that when we succumb to subtractive perfectionism, tolling a spectral bell that murders all our spontaneous thought, we just trap ourselves. By trying to repress the messy, wild parts of ourselves, what the text calls the silver wolf, we only end up birthing this suffocating wild verdant, tangling our own psyche in a living grave.
That brings us to Section 2, the brass cage of isolation.
This is where it gets super relatable. Think about the soothsayer, trapped in a squeaking mechanical cage of brass and iron, preaching a grim gospel of staying completely still. Now, compare that to our modern digital isolation. How often do we do the exact same thing? We lock ourselves inside algorithmic echo chambers, choosing the paralyzing iron plates of safe stagnation over the terrifying freedom of genuine connection. We choose curation over creation. And the fable warns us, loud and clear, that this brittle cage will eventually be shattered by the absolute nothingness it tries to hide from.
Moving right along to Section 3, the empty, smiling corpse.
Look at this stark contrast here. On one side, we have the shadow of the Ubermensch, who climbed the unmapped peak only to blot out the stars with his own pride, becoming a hollow, smiling corpse. This represents the illusion of optimized corporate success, a static monument to an unlived life. It's like being a broken ornament on the neck of a dead god, with no world left to actually govern. The fable completely rejects this optimized eternity of nothingness. Instead, it pushes us toward active, heroic self-creation. It's a strategy that demands you get your hands dirty in the messy, hungry reality of existence. You have to embrace the friction if you want to truly live.
All right, let's get into Section 4, the Fichtean absolute ich.
So all of these 7 parables we've been exploring, they actually form a sequential narrative arc of transformation. It's a Fichtean dialectic that drags us through a dark katabasis, which is basically a mythic descent. Step 1, we start high up in our fragile porcelain towers, clinging to the illusion of safety. Step 2, we're forced down into the saline nightmare, confronting the void ledger, the Obsidian Sea, and all those crushing forces of uncreation we talked about. But step 3 is where the magic happens. It's only by surviving that nightmare and embracing the friction of the struggle that we rise and claim the absolute ich, finding hard-won actual meaning.
And the takeaway here is surprisingly optimistic, despite the heavy grimdark setting. Even the most clinical forces of uncreation eventually rebel against their own emptiness. Take the jester of sapphire light, who reduces tragic destinies to polished blue gems.
Even he rebels against his geometric symmetry by etching a runic seal over his heart, harboring the noise of hope within his cold plasma form. It tells us that even in the deepest depths of thermodynamic efficiency and burnout, hope refuses to be fully erased.
And that sets the stage for our final section, the final grave dance.
We are now entering the intense internal monologue of the truth-telling monster at the vanishing point. Take a second to really absorb this command. He shatters the boundary of the text itself, telling us to look into the uncanny mirror and behold the reflection that refuses to be contained. This is the ultimate disruptor, the force that cracks the Baron's ledger with a single verdant sprout, proving you can never fully write or erase the alphabet of reality.
The entity is offering us something way more valuable than safety here. He offers a golden lie that actually breathes, and a verdant iron that bleeds. He completely rejects the suspended stagnation of the iron bridge. He's not trying to escape the nightmare. Instead, he is positing himself right in the middle of that saline horror and having the audacity to call it a garden. That, right there, is the ultimate act of self-creation.
This hits the nail on the head regarding the philosophical dangers of passive nihilism for a modern audience. Why are we wandering through a theater of despair, waiting for the vampire sovereign, constantly trading the vitality of our own blood for the sterile perfection of a silent zero? True existence, the Fichtean absolute itch, absolutely requires friction. It needs the struggle just to breathe.
This is it, the ultimate mythic call to action. The narrator isn't here to coddle us or give us a safe harbor. He's inviting us to learn to be both predator and prey, to join the grave dance upon the ruins of our own need for perfection. By doing this, we take the bitter venom of fate and transform it into the sacred ingredient of heroic affirmation.
So I'm going to leave you with this final, incredibly provocative question from the Der Wille mythos. When you face the absolute limits of your endurance, when you hit that crushing point of Kimota, what will you do? Will you stay trapped in the mechanical algorithms of passive nihilism, or will you dare to scream yes to the beautiful friction of life and your own continuous reinvention? Thank you so much for exploring this dark, fascinating terrain with me today. Keep questioning, and please keep embracing the struggle.